balancing act goes like this.
Well, that's not something you see every day. That was Sophie Grégoire Trudeau showing off her yoga moves at the Parliamentary Press Gallery dinner. It was a night for political leaders to take a poke at themselves and the journalists who cover them. There was no shortage of jokes last night at the event. John, Katie, and Susan are back, and the Sunday Scrum panel is going to have a little fun with it now. Now, Katie, you were there, and we asked you what were your highlights. You say the moment with the Prime Minister and his wife were a standout for you. Let's take a look, a little bit more of what Trudeau had to say.
I'm a little sad that President Obama will be leaving public office soon. There's been a lot of talk about my bromance with President Barack Obama, how I look up to him, how I have so much to learn from him. And I'm like, Barack, you're absolutely right. Thank you for pointing it out again. I have to admit, though, I'll miss his leadership and his good advice. I will not miss the wedgies.
So that's a cute clip, but Katie, how significant was the Prime Minister's appearance?
Well, it was the fact that he was there. This is the first time we've had a Prime Minister speak at the Press Gallery dinner in more than a decade, as I think a couple of people did manage to point out. His speech was entertaining the crowd. Like, there's this great myth that the Press Gallery dinner crowd is somehow a tough audience. They're really not. As long as a politician hits the correct balance between mocking himself or herself, mocking his or her opponents, and mocking us, it usually goes off fine. And all of the leaders, I have to say, managed to pull that off with aplomb. Rona Ambrose, interim Conservative leader, was very funny as well. She was very edgy. I think people weren't perhaps expecting her to be quite as sardonic as she came across. And Tom Mulcair gave kind of the speech he's probably dreamt of giving at a Press Gallery dinner for his entire political career, and that he looked downright relieved when he got to say all those things and get it all off his chest. So in general, we also had the Governor General there for the first time in a few years. So it was the whole night had just the right atmosphere, the right tone. It was a really successful event, I thought.
Now, Katie, you mentioned Rona Ambrose. Let's listen to a little bit of what she had to say.
You know, I really, really believe in my heart that the former PM was misunderstood. I really do. Stephen Harper actually loved humanity. It was just people that he couldn't stand. The Conservative Party of Canada, now with the new fresh lemony scent. The Conservative Party of Canada, it's okay, the bad man's gone away.
All right, I was really surprised at that. Susan, what did you think about the ribbing that Stephen Harper got from his own party?
I thought it was hilarious, and it was probably pre-approved by Laureen Harper, who's a good friend of Rona's and who actually has quite a great sense of humor herself. So I thought Rona did, from a distance, I wasn't there, unfortunately, but she did very well.
I'm curious what you all think about this. You know, there's this sense of why even cover this? It's silliness. It's not to do with real policy. It's not serious. But to me, it kind of indicates the tone that's going on in Parliament between the media, the politicians. It's a huge event in the States with the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Well, what do you think? Is it sort of an irrelevant one-off, once a year everyone gets along, or does it indicate something bigger? Do you want to start with you, John?
Well, look, it's if you'll forgive the word, it's all very Laurentian. And by the way, Rona was completely false. Stephen Harper doesn't love humanity. Of course not. He doesn't love humanity or people. But look, we had a decade in which the Conservatives did not like the press. The feeling was reciprocal. The press did not like the Conservatives. So the Press Gallery dinners were painful, tortuous affairs, great deal of animosity. Most of the cabinet towards the end wasn't even bothering to show up. Now it's back to the universe unfolding as it should. Liberals are in power. All is right with the world. Journalists and cabinet ministers and MPs and staffers can get together and slap each other on the back and know that the old order has been restored. It will eventually tatter and fray, but right now everyone's feeling very good about where everybody is at in this, except for a few Conservatives.
Katie, what do you think? What does it mean, this dinner?
You know, it's funny. It's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. The dinner was historically off the record, which meant it wasn't covered. It would get kind of a brief mention, and the speeches were, I'm told, much funnier, much edgier for that very reason. Now, because there's obviously some suspicion about the notion of politicians and journalists going off to cavort together in fine outfits with a lot of alcohol, so the feeling is it's now on the record. So if you cover it, at least people can tune in and say, okay, that's what's happening. It's not some sinister party behind closed doors. But I think the the sort of the counterpoint to that is, I'm not sure how entertaining it actually is for people to watch. It's not like the White House Correspondents' Dinner, which is a very sort of theatrical event. Like, there's professional staging. I imagine there's people whose entire job it is to plan that dinner and those events and those the speakers and presenters every year. This is very much something that we kind of throw together, the press gallery and the various parties. So I don't know. I think it's good that people can now watch the speeches and it's out there. Unlike, you'll be shocked to hear, I disagree with John that on his take. I think that although the first couple of years there weren't very many Conservatives present, and the Prime Minister Stephen Harper never did show up, but by the end, by last year, yeah, there were as many Conservatives at the gallery dinner as there were Liberals, as there were New Democrats, possibly more because they were in government, so there were more MPs and they were more sought after. This notion that somehow they avoided it for the entire tenor is just silly.
All right, we mentioned Tom Mulcair playing up his angry Tom persona. Here's a little bit.
It's great to be here at the press gallery dinner. And you know why? Because unlike every other person here tonight, I give 0. I had a lot more here, but I was just informed by Edmonton that I have to go. So on that note, Mulcair out.
So, Katie, you were there. What was the reaction in the crowd? I mean, I thought I heard a lot of applause, but
they absolutely did. His speech went, if you went sort of according to level of edge and darkness, Trudeau was definitely the safest in that sense. He's a Prime Minister, probably understandable. Ron Ambrose pushed the envelope a little, but Mulcair, I don't think people will forget soon quite how his performance went. There was a lot of it that really couldn't be shown on television just because either the language or the jabs were just a little too sharp, which of course the audience loved. So I thought it was a very successful outing for him. New Democrat leaders historically have had hit and miss relationships with the press gallery dinner performance, and I think he definitely gave them one for the ages.
John, what do you think?
Yeah, although people forget it, Jack Layton gave some of the worst press gallery speeches ever. And there is nothing like a politician who has nothing left to lose anymore, one final time to stand in front of all of the people who tormented him all those years and tell him exactly what he thinks of them. And he did, and good on him.
All right, well, that's all the time we have this week. Thank you to all of our panelists, freelance columnist Susan Riley, John Ibbotson of the Globe and Mail, and Katie O'Malley with the Ottawa Citizen.